In the top stories, Prime Minister Harris attends IMF World Bank meetings and events in Washington, D.C., Black Rocks to be designated a National Heritage Site, and Ministry of Trade encourages young game developers. We'll be back with the details after this break. Welcome back to the ZIZ newscast. I am Jasmine Thomas. Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Timothy Harris, has been in Washington, D.C. this past week, where he attended a number of International Monetary Fund, IMF, and World Bank meetings in his capacity as Minister of Finance for St. Kitts and Nevis. On the evening of Wednesday, 5th October, Dr. Harris was a special guest at a constituency reception for visiting national delegations, which he attended with Canada's Minister of Finance, the Honorable William Francis Morneau, who represents Canada on the Board of Governors of both the IMF and the World Bank Group. Earlier on Wednesday, Prime Minister Harris met with the World Bank's high-level authorities for the Caribbean in Washington, D.C. The purpose of the meeting was to discuss the current status of St. Kitts and Nevis's economy and the strategic priorities of the Team Unity administration led by Prime Minister Harris. The World Bank authorities, headed by Ms. Sophie Sertain, Country Director for the Caribbean Country Management Unit, congratulated Dr. Harris for the second macroeconomic performance of the country. They also confirmed that the World Bank stands ready to help to support St. Kitts and Nevis in the important long-term development priorities. On Friday, 7th October, the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis attended the 2016 plenary session of the annual meetings where Dr. Jim Yong Kim, World Bank Group President, and Ms. Christine Lagarde, Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, addressed the delegates at the event, which was held at the Constitution Hall in Washington, D.C. One of the country's historical sites, Black Rocks, is set to undergo reconstruction, which will see it transformed into a National Heritage Site. Upon the recommendation of the Ministry of Tourism, under the leadership of the Honorable Lindsay Grant, a proposal was submitted and accepted by the Cabinet for the substantial upgrade of Black Rocks, given its historical, educational, and touristic value. According to Minister Grant, there is a need for urgent intervention to raise the standard of the product so that it offers a much improved and more comfortable vendor and visitor experience, benefiting one of our popular and premier natural tourist attractions. This renewed thrust in community-based tourism at Black Rocks is expected to benefit the residents of Bellevue and its surrounding environs. This, in turn, will bring socio-economic development to the area, including promoting sustainable livelihoods for the residents in the nearby communities and working to develop a formal master plan for Black Rocks with design considerations for land conservation, historic and cultural precedents. The Black Rocks project, which is a partnership between the White Gate Development Board and the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, will be implemented in 2 phases. With support from the Ministry of Trade, the St. Kitts and Nevis Coalition of Service Industries has selected Xavier Yo to represent the Federation at an upcoming Global Services Exporters Conference in Chile. The Caribbean Network of Service Coalitions, CNSC, collaborated with ALES, Latin America Association of Service Exporter, to bring together the video game developers from the Caribbean, Latin America, and international firms at the ALES to the 6th annual conference. Xavier, just 17 years of age, who attends the Clarence Fitzroy Bryant College, CFBC, has tapped into the video game and mobile applications industry sector and has chosen out of 6 additional candidates in the federation. He began developing games 8 years ago. He expressed that he is excited to go to the conference.
Being from here, I never thought I would ever get an opportunity to, go to an event like this, because I've always seen they have those game development conferences in America. They have TwitchCon. They usually have them in July. And I was thinking, well, I'm never going to really leave this island often or ever at all. So I would never really get the opportunity, so I'd have to do most of my work online. And I'm really, really appreciative. I can't express it with just words.
During his trip, he plans to network and promote his business, Leeward Games. This opportunity will allow him to take a look at the latest trends as well as identity business and investment opportunities in the services sector and network with the CEOs and international leaders. Xavier imparted sound advice for those who wanted to venture into game development.
Definitely go ahead of time and learn. That is the key thing. And even if it's a prototype, put in the best you can put in. You need to be able to know what people want in a game. You need to be able to market it, because millions of games, you want to be to the top, and those who are to the top dominate the category. Read, study, and just mess with everything you can mess with.
The video game and mobile applications industry sector is a booming economic sector worldwide that has generated more revenue than the film and music industry together, growing 30% annually. The conference will be held from October 12 to 13. It will be fully funded by the EU through Caribbean Export Development Agency. Coming up, we'll have another look at some of the stories from the past week. Stay tuned.
Can you afford to lose everything? In times of uncertainty, ensure you have the security of Quartz Payment Protection. When you shop with Quartz Ready Finance Gold or Ultimate Plan, if you lose your job after 6 months of making payments, our redundancy coverage ensures that the payment on your account continues for up to 12 months. Don't risk losing everything. Shop with Quartz Ready Finance and get the payment protection plan that protects you against redundancy, disability, death, and loss of item due to natural disaster, fire, flood, or theft. Quartz Ready Finance with payment protection. Quartz, bringing value home.
The University of the West Indies, UWI Open Campus in St. Kitts, held the ceremony for the presentation of graduates on Saturday at the St. Kitts Marriott Resort. The program began at 10 in the morning with an academic procession made up of graduates of the university, members of the UWI Alumni Association, St. Kitts and Nevis chapter, members of the academic and senior administrative staff, members of Senate, members of the university and campus councils, academic directors and deans. The procession was followed by the arrival of the Governor-General, His Excellency Sir S.W. Tapley Seaton, GCMG, CVO, QC, JP. Chancellor George Aline, during his message to the graduating class, wished them well and encouraged them to remain supportive of their university.
As a university, we are an academic society of undergraduates, bachelors, masters, and doctors, and we follow the academic tradition in the pursuit of knowledge and the encouragement of learning, purposes which are laid down in the preamble to the Royal Charter, by which we have been granted the powers needful for the prosecution of our affairs. In pursuing these aims, our members advance from time to time to a higher standing in the academic community, and it is fit and proper that as a body, we should celebrate their achievement. It is marked by the granting of a degree or diploma or license or certificate, and we rejoice with you, our graduates, on your advancement.
Chancellor Aline also thanked the families of the graduating class 2016 for being supportive of their goals.
Let me thank your relatives and loved ones for the help they provided, often at great personal cost, as by their support, they are also supporting the institution and demonstrating their faith in the power of education to make a better life for Caribbean citizens. And I hope that you are pleased with the investment you have made in these young people.
Honorary Director of Science, Dr. Sir Prince Ramsey, delivered the official graduating address. Recognition was also given to the class valedictorian, Miss Roan Alexis out of St. Lucia, who graduated with first-class honors, earning a bachelor's degree in education, early childhood development, and family studies. The Clarence Fitzroy Bryant College Choral Ensemble presented the musical presentation. The graduates hailed from Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Bahamas, Barbados, Belize, British Virgin Islands, Cayman Islands, Dominica, Grenada, Jamaica, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Turks and Caicos, and Trinidad and Tobago. Overall, a total of 698 students, 593 undergraduates and 105 postgraduates graduated, with 15 students from St. Kitts and Nevis included. The Ministry of Health on Nevis has confirmed the first laboratory-tested case of Zika virus on the island. According to a statement from the ministry, the serum sample was sent to the Caribbean Public Health Agency CARFA from the Alexandra Hospital in late August for the testing and returned positive for Zika. This result is the first confirmed case for the island of Nevis. The ministry has notified the individual of their results. This brings to 4 the number of confirmed cases within the Federation. However, the number of suspected cases on Nevis, that is, persons showing symptoms suggestive of Zika virus disease, has risen to 57. The Health Ministry is urging the general public not to panic, stating that Zika is a mild illness and 80% of persons affected don't show any symptoms. These can include a fever, rash, body aches and pains. The statement urges everyone to take precautions against contracting the disease by wearing long-sleeved clothing when outdoors, using mosquito repellent, and since it is also transmitted sexually, persons are urged to also use safe sexual practices. The Health Department also plans to take steps to eradicate the virus-carrying mosquito by increasing enforcement and education, fogging and over-trapping. Residents are also urged to remove any containers that may catch water and provide a breeding ground for the mosquito. The Rivers of Living Water Christian Center held its first ever Women in Leadership Conference on Thursday. Here's more.
Several women's ministries from throughout the Federation gathered in their numbers to celebrate leadership and women's empowerment at the Rivers of Living Water Christian Center. ZIZ met with co-host of the Women in Leadership Conference, Prophetess Debbie Isaac, who explained the importance of having the leadership conference. She also mentioned that her husband, Apostle Dr. Alan Isaac, hosted the conference along with her.
I think having leadership conferences would bring out certain abilities, giftings, and even empower women to be able to lead their homes, know that they're capable of running offices and becoming CEOs, and don't just settle for just being there following all the time. Women need to know that God has given them abilities, as I said earlier, talents and faculties that the nation needs. And so they should rise up and become a leader.
Isaac then took the opportunity to share words of encouragement to women assuming leadership roles.
As women, we can do so much to help people to change situation, to bring balance even in our workplaces. But more so in the kingdom, God needs us with all our intellectual capabilities and faculties. God needs women, and thank God for women, because in many churches, if we had to take the women out, I don't know what many churches would have done. So thank God for women who are coming forward in leadership and doing what they can do to help humanity.
She said the Women in Leadership Conference is one that will grow into becoming an annual event. 7 women were honored for their contribution to their communities. Plaques were presented to the women who were acknowledged for their leadership roles. The honorees include former St. Kitts Nevis Anguilla National Bank CEO Dawn E. Williams, who received an award for her contribution to the field of economics/finance. Managing Director and Principal at the Avril Archibald School, Miss Avril Archibald, received an award for her contribution to the field of education. An award was also presented to the Director of Institutional Nursing Services at the Joseph and France General Hospital, Matron Sonia Daly-Finley, for her contribution to health, ZIZ's very own Acting General Manager Cheryl Ward for her contribution to media, Director of a Fireflies Dance School and Senior Tutor at the Children's Dance Theatre, Heidi Slack, for her contribution to performing arts, Pastor Donna Peets for her contribution to the field of religion, and Mrs. Eulalie Kelly received an award for assuming leadership in the family category. The conference began at around 7:30 p.m. with praise and worship sessions that were led by the Rivers Celebration team. Resident of Barbados, Apostle Marguerite Breedy Haynes, was the featured guest speaker. The theme of the conference is Women Taking Their Position in the Kingdom. The 2-day conference ends on Friday, October 7th. Reporting for ZIZ News, I am Shaira Flanders.
After the break, TV journalist charged with assault, harm and damage, and scores dead in blasts at a funeral in Yemeni capital. Stay tuned.
Hey, what you doing? The time passing, next thing you know, it's a Christmas Eve and there's hustle and bustle and fretting. Every year can't be the same thing. At Quartz, everything waiting. The best deals, the best prices. Christmas this year, give you niceness. Come to Quartz, you're invited. Let's go! Down to Quartz, you know we've got the best in show. To be satisfied, come on, let's go! Down to Quartz, that's where it's going down. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
The host of the popular television series Untold Stories, Dale Elliott, was slapped with several charges when he appeared in the Gros-Islet District Court in St. Lucia on Friday afternoon. Elliott was charged with damage, harm, assault, and 2 counts of threat, allegedly in connection with a domestic matter. Details of the charges were not readily available. He was also granted bail in the sum of $4,500 and asked to surrender all his travel documents to the police. Elliott was asked by the court not to contact the victims and to stay 100 meters away from them. He has to report to the Gros-Islet police station every Wednesday between 6 in the morning and 6 in the evening. He's expected to make another court appearance on the 9th of November 2016. The United Nations says explosions in the Yemeni capital Sana'a have killed at least 140 people and injured hundreds. Health officials say the 2 blasts were caused by an airstrike, but the Saudi coalition that is helping the Yemeni government fight Houthi rebels denies carrying out the strike. Al Jazeera's Victoria Gatenby reports.
The blasts happened at a funeral where senior Houthi officials and a military commander were in attendance.
I entered the Grand Hall to attend the funeral of His Excellency the Interior Minister Jalal al-Rayshan. We were just sitting there, and among us, I saw Abdul Qadir Hilal, San'ad mayor. All of a sudden, we saw rubble, destruction. The ceiling was falling down. An attack, 2 strikes. We were all under the rubble.
Doctors Without Borders in Yemen say they're dealing with hundreds of wounded patients.
For the moment, we know that most of the patients are suffering from burns and trauma from shrapnel. Most of them are requiring heavy surgery, and it is possible that many are in a critical situation.
Health officials in Sana'a, which is controlled by the Houthis, blamed the Saudi-led coalition for the explosions, but the coalition denied conducting any airstrikes in the capital.
The Ministry of Health condemns this inhumane crime that violates all humanitarian, international and Islamic norms. We hold the international community and the United Nations responsible for the continued crimes against the Yemeni people and their land.
Saudi Arabia and its allies launched a military campaign in March last year against Houthi rebels and forces loyal to former President Ali Abdullah Saleh. The rebels insist they're Yemen's legitimate authority, but the internationally recognized government of President Abd Rabbu Mansour Hadi say the Houthis must disband. Nearly 7,000 people have been killed and at least 3 million people have been displaced since the fighting started in Yemen. The UN envoy to Yemen is urging all sides to negotiate a political deal and says there could be an announcement soon about a 72-hour ceasefire. Victoria Gatenby, Al Jazeera.
We'll be back with a recap of tonight's top stories. Recapping the top stories. Prime Minister Harris attends IMF World Bank meetings and events in Washington, D.C. Black Rocks to be designated a National Heritage Site, and the Ministry of Trade encourages young game developers. That's it for the ZIZ Channel 5 newscast. Thank you for watching. I am Jasmine Thomas. Good night.